4 power couples recently had dinner together. The Springsteens, the Obamas, the Tom Hankses, and the Spielbergs.
Yeah, this was at the dinner Sunday night at the Hanks residence in Pacific Palisades.
Tom Hanks just sends out dinner invitations. Come on, let's have dinner. And none of them have anything to do with Star Wars, do they? Or does Spielberg produce? Is he something for that?
No, none of them.
Nothing. That's all George Lucas.
Yeah, that's just Lucas.
Spielberg doesn't have a piece of Star Wars
Lucas
at all.
And now Disney.
And that's it. Yeah, that's right. None of them have anything to do with that. So the question was, if the Springsteens, the Obamas, the Hanks, and the Spielbergs get together for dinner, which they did, what do they chat about? Would they chat about stuff we've heard about? Like, would they ask Springsteen, hey, man, what was up with taking that shot of whiskey?
Oh, yeah, the DUI thing.
You know, tell me what went on with that DUI.
Tequila on a motorcycle.
I don't think they would. I don't think they would bring that up.
Think it's off limits?
Yeah, I just think they all know better than to, talk about sensitive things.
They'd probably talk about boring stuff like their college-age kids and what they're into.
Yeah.
But would they go there with Tom Hanks and say, what about this crappy son of yours? What's the one,
Well,
Chet. Yeah, Chet.
I could see it more of a joking thing because Chet's trying to launch what he calls White Boy Summer. So I could kind of see a joke about, hey, I heard your son's having White Boy Summer.
You think Tom would lightheartedly, but almost sometimes also seriously ask Bruce, hey, listen, next time you go on the road with the E Streeters, why don't you take Chet out as the opening act?
Something like that.
That would be good.
Springsteen gives a little laugh.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, throws it off like that,
We don't do openness.
Yeah.
Once, a long time ago, the owner of our company had us over to dinner. It was before you arrived here, Biggie, I believe. There was a group of us that went to dinner celebrating, something. And it was just a really nice home, and everything was really nice. And I talked about college football. That's how I got it. It was like in October. So I was like, boy, Georgia. That kind of, that's how I was. That's because it was people hard for me to do, to be around.
True
people.
Small talk.
Real small talk. Once I spoke at the country club.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. Only once.
Just once. Remember that? At the country club, there was a breakfast.
I do.
There was
going to be a tournament after to which you were not invited.
Correct.
No, you were just let there to speak, period. And
That's
speak
right.
about what we didn't know.
You remember you gave me the joke about Democrats and
Democrats, am I right?
That was it.
Great. Still the best opener you've ever had.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I was supposed to speak for about 30 minutes, and I only covered about 5. And then I was like, anybody got any questions? Nobody did.
Nope.
But when I had the breakfast, in that small group setting, I talked to, but these were like CEOs of hospitals and stuff and authors.
And what do you do?
Yeah, that was the problem.
I'm on the radio.
The CEO of the hospital, who had retired about a year earlier, told me that he wished he had never retired. He said that he said, I played every round of golf. I've read every book. I'm bored to tears, and I wish I'd never retired. And I said, maybe you could volunteer. And he said, well, once you've been the CEO, there's something that comes along with that. So you go back into the hospital, they look at you as CEO still, and I'm taking away from the other person's job, all of that. So, I think it was hard to make.
Well, how about that Alabama team?
Yeah.
That's what you do,
You default to college football.
And, that's a good point about you come back, because whenever you two retire, I know one of you will constantly try to mill into the new show's business.
Absolutely.
Well, this is the way I did it.
Yeah, totally into that.
Oh, here's my spreadsheet.
Totally into that.
Oh, I wouldn't have said that. I would have said this.
Exactly.
I'll let the audience decide which one I'm talking about.
I left and went to television at one time. I did a little local TV, and very shortly into that project, I just wander in here, during the morning, be like, hey, I'm on. If you need a cameo,
yeah, I'm here.
I'll take it. I'll walk.
Not on until like 11 o'clock.
I'll do like a walk on. I'll walk on if you need me, like they do on the late night shows and so on.
Like Bob Hope used to walk on.
All right, he's here. Let him in here.
And you have to be legend status to just do a walk on.
Yeah, I thought I could do that. It's like when I went back to my high school and did the morning announcements when I was a sophomore in college.
Yeah.
I was back in for a day. Said, let's go back and visit the old teachers, And I said,
loser.
I said, yeah, I'm willing to do the announcements if you want me to. I'll do that. So they said, all right, do the afternoon announcements.
Somewhere some sophomore was seething.
This is my shot.
It's true. In fact, he was standing there, and I said, I'm sorry, not today. I have
hand me the menu, son.
Right. Had this a couple of years
Bus
ago.
5 is running late.
Did it.
That's how you do it.
I'll tell you what. I'll let you introduce me. Hype me up. Ask him if this voice sounds familiar.
Bring me on.
Man, I'll tell you, that's how you do it.
You've heard him on the Breakfast Flakes.
I was on them. At that time, I was on a little college radio show called The Breakfast Flakes. That's right.
You've heard him cry in the bathroom.
Here he is, back by popular demand.
He was the first victim of the ever cummerbund wedgie.
Some of you bullied him. Yeah, you're younger, but you still bullied him.
That's right. That's right. All of those things, and I was back there. It was really something. So if you could have dinner with one of those power couples, Springsteen's, Obama's, Hanks, or Spielberg's, which would you take?
I know right away I'd take the president.
The Obamas.
Yeah, just you can leave Michelle. I just want him.
You just want
but I want any president. Now, if I had to pick one of the media guys, I'd pick Spielberg just because he's worked with everybody.
That's true. But I think you'd get more out of Hanks as far as the ins and outs. I mean, Springsteen has done more. Or excuse me, Spielberg has done more with. I mean, Jaws. I'd love to ask about Jaws.
And you could talk. And you could probably talk. He probably has an exhaustive knowledge of movies in general. Now, Hanks may too.
Yeah.
But I bet Spielberg really has encyclopedic knowledge.
I would bet though, if you were just at that dinner, if you were just the fifth person, you'd find it terribly boring because I bet all the things that we want them to talk about,
they don't.
Yeah, like we said, it'd be kids, the price of things, you know. It'd be terribly boring.
Did y'all watch the draft?
Yeah.
That's
right.
I do.
It might be.
Yeah. Did y'all watch the NFL draft? Do you know, this is what I am. And I guess this speaks to both technology and just what kind of person I am. Yesterday, obviously, I'm running the draft grades. Okay, now we're a couple of days removed from the NFL draft, and I'm in the office, and I'm ready to listen to a podcast about the draft. So I plugged I didn't want to bother Chris Demm with this. He doesn't care about the draft.
He doesn't.
So I plugged my headphones into the computer for a podcast on the NFL draft, every team's grades, including the Broncos, you know. So I'm listening for about 2 minutes, and then about 2 minutes in, I realize I've got it on my phone, and my computer is what's plugged into the headphones.
Oh, no.
So I turned to Chris and I said, "You can hear every bit of this, can't you?" And he said, "Oh, yeah."
Loud and clear.
Because I was having some trouble here. So that's what I am. I have hit.
You heard a muffled version, like something's weird.
Because I kept thinking.
You kept turning it up.
I can't hear this. Yeah, so I kept turning it up because I couldn't hear it very well. And then I realized this isn't.
And I'm like, yeah, I know. I guess the Broncos got a linebacker.
I was going to say these wonderful experts, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I couldn't hear it through my headphones at all. And I was going, what's going on? And then I realized, oh, my gosh, I've plugged into a computer, but the phone is just on its natural.
Two entirely different devices.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
so you know what I'm doing over here. I do.
Yes. There was no doubt about it.
So you're judging me. Absolutely.
Yes. There was absolutely no doubt about it. I was the guy that plugged into that and then listened to the other thing. That's the person I am.
Did you say anything to him like, "Oh, I'm going to do some work before you," like, you know?
That would have been better. Yeah. He sort of couched it as that.
Yeah. Oh, I got to do a little work. I'm going to put on my headphones not to bother you.
What do they call it in the social network when you're locked in?
Yeah.
You're doing a
I forget now.
It's not
in the zone or something. When
you're that's what I was.
When you're just locked onto your keyboard.
Yeah. But instead, he was hearing it, and when I realized he was hearing it, well, it was an embarrassing moment. Yeah. That was an embarrassment for me. Mentioned late night and Tom Hanks telling great stories on late night. Conan O'Brien has announced he's leaving TBS. I guess he had made that announcement a while back, and now he
made the announcement. I guess they just moved up the date.
Well, finally they revealed it. They never had a date before. So he said last night his last show on TBS, this is Conan O'Brien, will be June 24th.
We are winding down our TBS show. The plan is to reemerge on HBO Max sometime in the near future. Our last episode here at TBS will be on June 24th. We're going to be showing a lot of clips of our favorite moments from the last 11 years. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I think Conan O'Brien.
The 11-year TBS run?
Yes.
You could forget.
I can tell you how many episodes I watched.
Zero. Me too.
Not a one. I'd catch glimpses online, but that's it.
You know what's, to me, a little interesting about Conan O'Brien? First of all, he's the veteran of late night television. He started in '93 with he took over for Dave Letterman when Letterman went to CBS. So that's almost 30 years. That's 28 years in late night. Late Night with Conan O'Brien on NBC, that disastrous 6-month run at The Tonight Show, which just killed him.
Yeah.
Then he goes over to TBS for another 11 years. And I think he's probably the guy, and I think he's really funny and really good, but has the least impact. It's like he's only remembered. He's not really remembered. He's like a footnote, you know. His height was probably when he did Late Night, took over for Letterman. Because the thing at The Tonight Show was just awful. If he had had a better situation there, because what happened was Jay Leno said he was going to leave, and then it was all messy.
Just hung around.
Yeah, it was very messy. You know, he didn't really want to leave. They gave him a 10 o'clock slot. They forced him out because they wanted to keep Conan. Conan's contract came up, and other networks, like ABC, I think, wanted Conan. And so he said no to that. And so they said, all right, Jay, we'll give you a 10 o'clock show. Conan will come over. Jay never wanted to leave The Tonight Show. That was his dream job forever. Conan comes in. It's perceived that he's pushed Jay out. Jay looks like a villain, too, because he pushes Conan back out. It was awful. What an awful time at NBC. And then O'Brien leaves and goes to TBS, and to me, is never really thought of again.
No.
That show stayed on 11 years, and I don't know anybody that watches it.
No, I'll tell you, the clips I've seen online, a lot of the stuff he does, still funny. He's a very funny guy.
Really fun. I agree.
And he was a great writer.
Yes.
But it's anytime I see him, though, for some reason, what pops into me is that whole Tonight Show debacle.
None of that was his fault. That was not his doing. They gave him the job.
Yeah.
And it was there was such a cloud around it because Leno wanted it back that he was pushed back out. It was awful. It was awful for him. And it's not been the same since. Now he got a good payday out of it.
Yeah.
And then moved to TBS for good money, I'm sure. And now he goes to HBO Max, which is, I don't know that he'll do really well on that.
No, because that's just something,
It's another tier.
you have to go look and find it.
It won't be live.
No.
Right? It'll be a tape
Although
show.
that, what's his name? He does well on HBO. John Oliver.
Yes, he does.
That show is real popular.
That's a more political thing, right?
Yeah, it's just kind of a news. I don't watch it a lot, but I know that's. But see, to me, going there, if he's at least on HBO, HBO Max, kind of a subset of that, so he's even below John Oliver.
Yeah. Now, in 2019, his show was reduced to a half-hour format, and in October, he said that the L.A. set had been burglarized. So he said, that's it. I'm going over to HBO. His travelogue series, Conan Without Borders, will continue as occasional specials on TBS, and he does the HBO.
I didn't know he was doing that.
I didn't either. But I think he's probably one of the more talented late-night guys who has never gotten really what he deserves.
Yeah.
He probably deserved that Tonight Show job. If Leno had said, I'm retiring after however many years, and I gladly give this to Conan, and NBC had handled it better, he'd probably still be the host of the Tonight Show. In the meantime, he goes over to TBS. I wish him well. I wish him nothing but the best, of course.
Continued whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, I've never watched it. I've never once seen his show.
Will you keep the record alive now that you have? Because you have HBO Max. Kelly?
I do. I got HBO Max for a Sex and the City reboot, and I've got a new breaker on that series coming up. By the way, I got some.
Is it getting closer to the release?
There's no date for the release. They're starting to shoot, but there is no date for the release. But there is some breaking news regarding the Sex and the City reboot.
I can't remember if we covered how much each of them is making per episode. Have you seen that?
No, I've not. I don't know. I'm sure Sarah Jessica Parker makes the most. She's the executive producer.
They're all getting the same from what I've read. And to me, it's ridiculous money.
What are they getting?
$1 million an episode.
For the
reboot.
Why do you think that's ridiculous?
I think that's just, I don't know if there's that kind of demand for it. I guess HBO had to get them somehow.
Kelly's face. Whoever's running cameras, zoom in.
Well, I'm demanding it. There's been demand.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's going to be you.
There's demand from this guy right
but
here.
I don't think there was no outcry from the old audience saying, what are they doing now?
I think there was.
I don't think there was.
We demanded another movie. Kim Cattrall put a monkey wrench in that.
Well, that's because 2 was so bad.
2 was terrible, but we wanted to.
Let's go to Abu Dhabi and do those men.
We're gonna
pretend like that never happened.
It's one of those.
Start over.
It's one of those. You got to make up for the mistake that was part 2 and then redo it in part 3. They had a great script. Kim Cattrall said no. Okay.
Great script. Have you seen it?
I just heard from Sarah. Sarah says that the script was delightful, but Kim said no to it.
Well, so I don't blame her.
They buried the script. Kim Cattrall won't do anything with Sex and the City. She's past that. Million an episode is chump change for these actresses. That's what the Friends got last season.
Yeah, but that was the Friends.
It's also 18 years ago. I mean, that's a long time ago.
But to me, I mean, like the Big Bang Theory, those guys were getting close, like $1 million an episode
at least.
Hit shows.
Sex and the City is a hit show.
It was.
You think I'll bet you if Big Bang Theory in 10 years says we're going to reboot, they get at least $1 million an episode for 10 episodes.
I think you'd have more demand to see the Big Bang because it wasn't on a cable.
Sex and the City has spun off. That has spun off to E. Okay, so it's they've made. I mean, it has been in syndication now for a while, and let me tell you, I stream it on a nightly. All right, I'm on that quite a bit.
Now, I would have maybe given Sarah Jessica Parker $1 million, but Cynthia Nixon.
But Sarah Jessica Parker should get more. I'm surprised she's not getting more.
They're all getting, from what I read, the big three are getting $1 million each.
All right.
This may be the dumbest argument I've ever witnessed.